I was thinking D.A. Harvey Dent is a very lantern-jawed, handsome white knight of a guy, and I don't know whether that was a big stretch for the lantern-jawed, handsome white knight of a guy called Edward Eckhart. I don't know if there's a...
Well, I think that, I don't know if it was John Huston who said that casting is 90% of filmmaking. I think Chris... you have Christian, obviously, who's reprising the role and has a certain look, He's, the coloring, his coloring, I think, goes well with mine. I think there was a conscious attempt to, get the same sort of physical build and all that sort of stuff, but make it, the white knight, dark knight thing. So there's a, all senses were used in making the determinations of the characters.
In a way, you've been kind of circling this, because I know Darren Aronofsky considered you for James Gordon and his Batman movie that never happened, and then Christopher Nolan considered you for Memento at one point, and it sort of seems like there's a sort of, it's almost like like destiny that you were going to work on this franchise with somebody that,
Well, I'll tell you, I could not be happier or more honored to work with Chris Nolan. To me, he's the top of the top. Chris and I talked about doing Memento, and I don't think I was ever going to work with Chris again because, I guess something happened where I didn't do Memento. But you never know how things are going to work out in the movie business and what you're going to do. The fact that I'm in The Dark Knight, I never thought I would be in a Batman movie, and the fact that I'm working with Gary Oldman, who's a hero of mine, and to have such a good time working with him, laughing, talking about theater and Shakespeare, and he's impersonating Gielgud and all the greats from the National Theater. I mean, that doesn't happen to every actor. I could listen to Michael Caine and Gary Oldman tell stories all day long, and they love to tell stories, so it was fun.
I should mention too that for most actors, they get into this line of work because they hope that they will, travel the world, and they go off to Switzerland, Australia, and to France, and
girls.
Do skiing. Yeah, girls, but skiing and surfing and all that. You did that when you were a teenager, you swine. You came out of high school, you were here in Surrey at 13 and finished school, and then went off for 3 years to Hawaii, Switzerland, and all that. Yeah. So what was left for in the acting world that you thought, I need this?
Well, interestingly enough, acting is an all-consuming thing. I used to be a big surfer. I lived for surf. I would get up in the morning for surf. I would eat for surf. My girlfriends were based on surf. My job, everything I did. I would go to school with sand on my ankles, and but it's difficult to have two passions in life. So when I figured out when I was a kid living in England, I went surfing in Cornwall, but I figured, okay, well, I've got to give one up because you can't have both. And so acting took over, and gladly, because if I were surfing right now, it would be, it's not attractive to see a 40-year-old surfer, talking like this, and, wearing board shorts and thongs with no money.
The dude, the Big Lebowski all over again.
Yes, the Big Lebowski.
But that notion too that Neil LaBlute said at one point you were kind of cross between Cary Grant and Daniel Day-Lewis and Christopher Nolan. And he was kind of half joking, but it's half true as well. And then our boy Chris Nolan was sort of talking about the fact that you are this striking guy, but there's something going on as well that you kind of suspect is a little bit sort of darker in there. Was there a moment that you woke up, I don't know, a morning you woke up and said, actually, I'm quite the hunk, or whether that's ever entered your head? Because you got to know what you've got.
After In the Company of Men, you had a choice to make. You could go hunky, or you could go, kind of sort of an independent, more character route, which I chose the latter. I went off and did Your Friends and Neighbors, and I worked with Sean Penn, and I felt it was all about working with actors and directors. I got to work with Jack Nicholson and Pacino, and it was less about being a hunk. And it's interesting when I look at young actors coming out today who are hot. I see which route they go, and inevitably the actors, the guys who want to be actors, always go dark and they go small, even though they're good-looking dudes. You come to that later because you know that you're not going to be working into your 60s and 70s on your looks. You're going to be doing it on your talent. And I think people who are real actors have to get out there and hone their craft still. And it's different from the theater. If you grow up in the theater, movie making's different in terms of that you have to learn how to work the camera and perform in front of crews. And there's a certain technique that has to be learned. So I feel that I somehow made the right choice, although I've never been in a huge hit. I've never been, it's harder for me to get jobs. I'm not the first choice. But if you look at the guys that I admire, like Sean Penn, and even look at Johnny Depp, what he's been doing lately, he went through years and years of, smaller films, and he got his big films later on. So I think hopefully it's working for me.
Rock and roll. I mean, the friendly finger.
Okay.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you
I think
very
this
much.
film